Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Jocular Junction. My name is Jordan, with a silent PH in the middle, and I am ready to talk about some Dungeons & Dragons news and various other tabletop RPGs. If you're live with me this morning, welcome, and thank you guys so much for coming out and supporting the channel. If you're interested in supporting the channel more, you can go to patreon.com/Jordan with a PH in the middle and sign up, and it'll be awesome. Really excited to be here. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about. It was originally not going to be a lot, and then I started digging around and found a bunch of stuff. So, first of all, I made a video on Thursday. That was, I think it was Thursday. No, it was Tuesday. Kind of talking about backwards compatibility with D&D 2024, and I don't think I got the message across that I wanted. So a lot of people were like, I thought this was going to be about backwards compatibility, but you just showcased a bunch of like other systems. And I was like, oh, I did. I guess my point was, and I kind of wanted to talk through it again here, is that D&D 2024 doesn't feel backwards compatibility to me. It doesn't feel like it has, that it is able to play with a lot of other stuff in there's no difference between that and me trying to convert other stuff with older editions of Dungeons & Dragons. And I guess that was the point I was trying to make, is it's not like, this is backwards compatible. Thank you, Wizards of the Coast. It's how much effort do you, the Dungeon Master, want to put into this to make it work? Because if you ultimately do play with 2014 classes and 2024 classes at the same time, there's going to be conflict, and you're going to have to look and be like, okay, well, which of these two rules do we follow? And I think that was the point I was trying to make, is that, yeah, it's doable, but how much effort do you want to put into it? And I guarantee you that Wizards will come out with helpful adventures and things like that, helpful in air quotes. And maybe I'm just a little bit bitter, but I am bitter because, they threw that strike on my channel. They have just kind of been jerks for a while, I feel, in a corporate overlord kind of business. So, but not necessarily my intention to come across like that, which is why I recorded the video 3 times. I was really trying to find the highlights of it. And I think the highlight was that we should, or the takeaway was that we should think of all systems as backwards compatible if we want to put in the effort, and that some of these other systems, I would rather put in the effort into those than I would into the new version of D&D. So we'll see. But anyway, it was fun to go through those comments. Speaking of Dungeons & Dragons, they're showcasing the new Dungeon Master's Guide. And the big takeaway from this week's video was magic items and strongholds, or bastions, they're calling them. So bastions have been around in the game for a while, and it's just kind of like, when you got to a certain level, it felt like you were like, okay, I'm going to stay home and be the king of my keep now, because people keep trying to attack it, so I got to stay home. And then you would almost start another set of NPCs that are your minions, and they would go out on adventures, and you would kind of just, I don't know, follow that thing, oh yeah, we'll have them go out on adventures, and maybe you play those characters, and then maybe you come back and your king is still there. Kind of odd, but fun, I guess. Odd in the sense that traditional RPGs today don't necessarily do that. But that was the reason that MCDM came out with Strongholds and Followers, is he liked those rules. He wanted to incorporate them in 5e. So when Bastions are introduced in the Dungeon Master's Guide, it really got everybody thinking, is it going to be better than Strongholds and Followers? And then I was even thinking, is it going to be better than Acquisitions Incorporated? Because although that's branded for Acquisitions Incorporated, it very much was the same thing. You level up in your bastionness, and you can expand it, and then you gain character benefits from having that bastion that is back at your home office. And some of those were I can sell things at a premium, or I could have an airship that follows me around, kind of a thing. I like both systems. I've only played the Acquisitions Incorporated Actually, I've played both systems. We've had Bastions with both systems, but the Ac Inc. one was kind of our first dip into it. And then with a different game, when I played with Strongholds and Followers, like we were building all kind of religious temples and stuff for the cleric, and there was a wizard tower next. And ultimately, a lot of these come down to money and time. Like, we're going to invest a bunch of money. We're going to say that, you know, a month passed and then you get this benefit. And that kind of leads into the next topic of magic items. So with the magic items, they're going to have, they also showcased a bunch of magic items. It's interesting how much art they're reusing, which again makes it feel, and maybe that's their intention, that it's not a new edition. And it is just a revised version of 5e, which it is. But they're not utilizing a bunch of new art because they already have this art that they've commissioned for it. And the art works really, really well. So in the video, they were talking about crafting rules for magic items. And that is I was going to say hot topic, but it's not a hot topic. It's just kind of like, it's the philosopher's stone of RPGs, I feel, where everybody wants to have these really awesome crafting rules because in MMOs and things like that, people like crafting things like, this is the bow I made, and then I get to go out and I get to use this bow. And I've never had a game where it really worked out to have crafting in it until recently, and I kind of want to talk about that. So I don't know the rules moving forward with traditionally, it feels like crafting magic items have always been money and time, and then maybe a dice roll. And I think that's one of the reasons that people don't really like it, because it's money and time, it's maybe a dice roll, and then because you're crafting things and you can sell them, are you also going to have the magic item wear out and break? And so then usually those come into play where it's like, well, I was using my sword, but my sword's broken, now I gotta go back and spend time like fixing my sword and re-imbuing it with magic and things like that. So I don't know if that's, I don't know. It just never has really, really worked. But there were two systems that I enjoyed a whole bunch. And so when I read the 2024 DMG, I'm going to be really looking to see if it beats out these other two systems that I know. These are third-party systems. So one of them is system neutral, and it is called Witch Plus Craft. I think this was the first Kickstarter I ever did for RPG books. And this is fun. So you, the whole crafting of it is that you're going to create a trade class, and then you get some techniques, and then you have to find materials and put them together. One of the cool things about this system that I really liked is that the art's really fun too. But one of the things I liked about this system is that you actually get a bonus for crafting for another person. So rather than I want to make this, it's like if I make this, maybe I'm a wizard, but if I make this magic sword and give it to the knight, it's easier for me to craft for a friend. You get a bonus for that. And it kind of, I don't know, it's just such a simple thing, but I like the idea of it where it's like, yeah, I can make this for myself, but when you're not greedy, it's actually easier and better for the whole party. And so since, D&D is a big game that we do together, it kind of works out. But the whole point, yeah, you find blueprint. There's going to be some challenges with that. And then you're going to preparation, you prepare the project, craft action, you begin the project, fine tuning, you make the rolls, and you choose to expend bonuses to alleviate any flaws that you created in it. And then you have this magic item. It was simple and fun. There are some magic items in here that work out. And then, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I've only really used this. I don't think I've ever used this at a table. It's always been kind of I really like this system. And then I just have not used it. And now there we go. I was and now my monitor's frozen. It's a hefty PDF. So I don't have a link to this down below, but I think you can find it on drive-thru, and I'll put a link. There's no link there now, but I will put a link to this. But it's Witch Plus Craft. I thought it was really cool, made by some fun people. And yeah, the next one I want to talk about is Battle Zoo Bestiary, and this is the one I am currently using in my Planegea campaign. So this is primarily a monster book, but with it, there are monster parts. So, and they do a good job on this one of kind of understanding how the system works, which I thought was really cool. So the quick start guide for PCs is step 1, slay monsters, get the ingredients from the monsters, you refine them, and then you imbue them on a piece of armor. So the idea here with Dungeons and Dragons, I guess medieval fantasy RPGs in general, is that you don't necessarily need to go out and craft a sword. You have a sword or you have armor. In the case of Planegea, weapons are very, very sacred because there isn't mass production. So I can't go out and just get a whole bunch of swords. So if you somehow have like a really good bone sword, you're going to treat that and care for it and things like that. And that's why this system really works well for Planegea. So then with this sword that I'm holding on to and I don't really want to get rid of or sell, because it is keeping me alive in the world of Planegea. When you go out and kill monsters, you can find these like reagents and then take them home and imbue them into the weapon to make it stronger. So if we go a little further, there's a bunch of monsters in here that all have monster parts, but really the monster parts kind of, oh, and there's like a financial thing too. So you can be like, a level 1 monster part is like 50 gold pieces. So they do a good job of explaining all of this and the refining process. But what I want to get to is the imbuing area. So there are these imbuing properties. And on this page, you can see it says like acid, bane, chaotic, charisma. Like there's all these different ones. Necrotic, lightning, lawful. Like these are kind of things that you can augment your... They're grandiose concepts. And so me as the dungeon master, when I pit a monster against them, if it is a cold monster, like if it has cold attacks, I know that I can have them discover monster parts that are from this cold subclass or this cold like area. So then I'm going to go over to cold. And there are three different areas you can go to imbue things with. And so do I want to go the path of magic, might, or technique? And then every time I imbue it, I am increasing the imbuement level. So this encourages me like, oh, you know, if we go kill another cold monster and I gain enough cold monster parts, I could imbue it to the second level of what I want to do. And it says here, like, you can imbue a focus, hand wraps, or a weapon. So this is all kind of like offensive stuff. Hand wraps are like for monks, so that monks aren't left out. And then I choose Path of Magic. So let's say I want to do a wand. My magical focus is a wand, and I imbue it with Path of Magic. I can now cast the Ray of Frost cantrip using this item. If I imbue it again, I get 2 charges to cast Fog Cloud, but I can also cast Ray of Frost. And this is kind of fun because I could do a Great Axe, which we were talking about with a fire-based thing. I could do a Great Axe for the Path Magic. And now I'm a barbarian that can also use my axe to cast Ray of Frost. Path of Might is the item gains the cold critical. So when you score a critical hit, or when a creature rolls 1 on a saving throw against a spell that deals cold damage, they take an extra 1d6 damage. So that's kind of fun. And then you imbue it further and further. And then the technique is I can touch the surface. So this is kind of like the cantrip level of it. Like I can freeze ice and stuff. And you could, I guess you could roll for these if you want to. But my characters in Planegea have had a lot of fun. Oh, we like killed a bunch of acid stuff. Let me look at the acid table and kind of like see how it is. And there's actually rules in this PDF to replace your entire economy with this monster imbuement system. And again, that works really, really well for Planegea because there isn't really an economy in Planegea. It's all barter and trade. And so I liked this a whole bunch. And they like the fact that like, that sword that they've had forever or that great club that they love, they get to make it better and hold on to it. And so it's been a lot of fun. I think this is a quality product. It's from Roll for Combat. Again, this is not sponsored in any way, but it is something that I'm using. So my checklist for magic item crafting rules in the DMG is going to be, is it better than Battle? Is it better or equal to either of those other ones? And I think when I get my hands on the DMG, I'm going to really look at that, and then maybe I'll make a video highlighting like what I like about one and what I like about the other, kind of a thing. So should be fun. I did get an email. I don't have the DMG yet. I'll just be honest with you, but I got an email that said the embargo lifts on the 15th. So check that out. October 15th is a Tuesday. That's when the embargo lifts. I'm expecting a lot more stuff. People will be sharing various DMG-ness things out there. And then a lot of people were talking about, why is the DMG coming out second and not the monster manual? And I was thinking about this where I'm like, I think they really want to hype up players. And player options in the player's handbook really hypes up players, and magic items, and the idea that this DMG is really being sold, I feel, as, hey, players, if you buy this, you can craft magic items. And I think, again, we're hyping up players because players make up the majority of people that consume Dungeons & Dragons. And the monsters really don't have anything to do with that. So keep that in mind when the monster manual starts getting teased. I want to know if they figure out a way of changing it so that it's player focused somehow, just like they've done with the DMG. This doesn't feel like a Dungeon Master's Guide. This feels like an augment to the player's handbook, where I can now do extra things. A lot of these crafting rules were expanded upon in Xanathar's Guide to Everything, and that was a player-focused book. So, kind of makes me sense. I will say, Mandrew was saying in chat that he saw the Battle Zoo books at his local game store. You should definitely check them out. I have the Pathfinder one because I got that from a friend, and it's almost compatible. But they have changed some wording. Well, it is mostly compatible, but they changed some wording here and there. So I ended up buying the 5e PDF because I wanted to make sure that I was getting the correct spells laid out and things like that. So just so you know, this is available for Pathfinder as well as 5e. So I like the idea of the new magic item rules that they were talking about, where if you do craft an item, you can have these list of like extra little features, like my +1 Great Axe of Lightning also detects where north is at all time. So there are some fun stuff like that that I think we'll get a lot of interesting things about. So we'll see. And I talked about the embargo lifting. So there is a new tabletop magazine. This is called Horizons Magazine, and it is made by, oh, I forgot their names. Publisher, I can't remember your names now. I feel so bad. Where's your about section? So, well, I forget, but there are some pretty, well, I should say the pretty big names that I can't remember, but some people that are in the tabletop world, and they have been making articles, I think, for D&D Beyond back in the day, and they did a bunch of other stuff, and they've been working on things. So they wanted to start a campaign, and they're kind of using the idea, or I should say the framework of MCDM. So when Matt Colville was doing the Arcadia magazine, they said, hey, you can buy it straight up, or if you subscribe to our Patreon, you get it. And the idea is that we're going to create a community on Patreon and going to have all of these things. I have not bought this yet. It's $15 just outright. But if you go to their Patreon, it is $5 a month, and you get new issues of Horizons. But yeah, so if you're interested in that, you can definitely check it out. It says that their current issue, which is out now, has 3 articles for 5th edition, 1 article featuring Pathfinder 2nd edition and Candela Obscura, the Desk of Many Thoughts, which is a nerdy op-ed column, and a bunch of cool illustrations. So I think it is worthwhile if you find these interesting. I really liked Arcadia. I really liked Dungeon and Dragon magazine. in the current sphere of blogs and podcasts and lots of advice that are given out here, I'm not sure if this has a financial future like they are hoping. I would love to be proven wrong, so we'll see. I think it's a noble idea, but I also think that there's a reason that Arcadia is not going on anymore. And it's because MCDM discovered that they could put more of their resources towards other things, such as their own game. And maybe Arcadia will come back, but I don't necessarily think that it will. Still, this is a fun idea. More power to them. Wild Mage Press, check it out. And yeah. Critical Role Season 3 is out. I have not watched it, but I think they put all of Season 1 of Critical Role free on YouTube. So if you... I've never been a huge Critical Role fan, but boy, I really enjoyed Seasons 1 and 2 of Critical Role. Like, I really, really, really liked it. So I think, in general, it's a fun fantasy action story. It has a lot of, like, anime vibes to it, and it just was fun animation. So I'm excited for Season 3. I'm definitely going to check it out. I think consuming it in this medium has been a lot easier for me than listening to their 5-hour actual play every week, which has just been exhausting, and that's why I don't think I ever got into it. Critical Role, this is interesting. I was talking, it's not a Let's Play, it is the animated show. Thank you, yes, Ironcaster. What I'm talking about is the animated, I should say Vox Machina Season 3. That is very different. So we'll say CR Vox Machina Season 3 is out. So definitely, I think it's fun. I'm going to go check it out. I haven't watched it yet because I've been watching Agatha all along, which I do recommend. I think it's fun. I have mixed bags about Marvel, but I was getting back into it. And I've been reading a new book, which we'll talk about in just a little bit. But you should definitely check out the new animated Critical Role that is out now. I think it's a lot of fun. And that makes me think that I was talking with Super Geek Mike, who's another YouTuber, and we were talking about the Forgotten Realms or just campaign settings. And he was saying, like, you know, he's a big fan of Critical Role, and the Critical Role campaign setting, he really likes that whole world and stuff like that. And I have never really had an interest in it, but I really like the Forgotten Realms. And he's like, I don't really see the appeal of the realms. And we were talking about it in the sense that the Forgotten Realms back in the day, and just about any campaign setting, in order to get off the ground, you really need to have stories there that excite people that want to play in that world. And back in the day, that was, we've got to write novels. We've got to publish novels. And so people make these novels, and then we read them, and then people get excited, and then they run their friends through the Forgotten Realms. I don't necessarily think that is also a good financial decision because you're like, really, I'm writing these novels so that people will go out and like play a game of D&D in here. But is that there's no financial incentive to really do that. So I don't know. You kind of just, do you like this world? But with the advent of actual plays and the rise of Critical Role, now we have the popularity of Vox Machina. Critical Role doesn't need to write novels to get people excited because people are watching the games played live and they're excited now. And when I played in a Critical Role game, all of the NPCs come out. You know, I think it was Pumat Sol was there in my game, you know, selling me stuff. And it's like, I recognize you from this. And that's the kind of recognition that I think Wizards of the Coast really wants with Drist and things like that. But they're not getting it because they're always just a little bit late to the party. But yeah, as far as Critical Role, I was like, I think novels for a campaign setting are going to be less and less, and we're going to see more actual plays that get people interested and excited about the world, which makes me wonder about the new Forgotten Realms book that's coming out, but also just the future of Eberron. I've read a couple Eberron novels. They're fine, like whatever. But what really excites me about Eberron is just like the world and hearing Keith Baker talk about it. And I was like, man, if they get a good animated series for Eberron, I think that would do more for that campaign setting than anything they've done before. Yeah, and this just made me think about it, but apparently the Dungeons and Dragons movie, which is set in the Forgotten Realms, that's blowing up on Netflix, and so they're just like, wow, this hit streaming and everybody loves it. It's like, yeah, it just kind of needed to find its audience. So finally, under news is Universal Fan Fest nights. This has got me very curious. So they're doing kind of like their Hollywood horror nights in the past. They're now doing a fan festival night where they're going to have these very specific properties. And I think it's One Piece, it's Dungeons and Dragons, it's Star Trek Picard, and it might as well just be Star Trek, but it's Star Trek Picard. And then the last one, not the last one, there's a couple others. Back to the Future, I think. But they're going to make Universal Studios, they're going to dress it up in a new way. And so for the Dungeons and Dragons one, we don't have a lot of information yet, but it's going to be something with Waterdeep and Xanathar. What does this article say? Well, it doesn't provide much of a description about what the event actually is. We do know that it will be Forgotten Realms themed and include the infamous Beholder Crime Lord. From the sound of things, this will be some kind of interactive attraction, probably similar in scope to one of the Hollywood Horror Nights haunted houses, but D&D themed. So now we're going to flip over to Star Trek Picard, because at the Universal Fan Fest nights, they're going to bring the Star Trek Picard Season 3 Star Trek Enterprise D bridge that they rebuilt. They're going to bring that there so you can walk around and enjoy this set, which this is a dream of mine to see the actual like Enterprise D set. I think it would be a lot of fun. So if they can get some kind of a Dungeons and Dragons draw at this scope, which I don't know if they can, because it's kind of like, oh no, but I'm really excited and I want to go to both. I don't know if I'll be able to go to either. But yeah, so I don't know, an interactive Dungeons and Dragons thing. I want to get Ted in his orange wizard robe and I'll create some character for myself, and then we'll go and we can be our D&D characters running around Universal Studios. Should be a lot of fun. That might not actually happen at all, but that is the Jordan dream. So, when is the date for this? I forgot. April and May. So it's an after hours event. Select dates in April and May. And I don't know if this will be like a week. Like, I'm not really sure. Tickets aren't even on sale yet, I guess. But there is like a reserved list you can go on. But links down below. I like to talk about crowdfunding and deals because the things that I find in crowdfunding are... I don't know. I want to highlight things that I really think are cool. So one of them is Dragontown, and I've talked about this before, but JP Couvert, really cool guy, 11 days to go on his Dragontown of the Darkness Below fantasy adventure. These are already written. This is just money to get the books going. I have the zine of Dragontown already, and so this is that zine with other adventures that he's written in creating a big adventure. He did send me a preview of the book. The book is glue bound, and it even says inside, like, the actual book is going to be stitch bound. It's going to have all these fancy things. This is a proof of concept. Really cool, guys. And he's got a lot of like stretch goals stuff. JP runs a YouTube channel, but he also has a Patreon where he does monthly zines. Like, the guy just works. Like, he makes so much stuff. So I really think that you should check this out. It's well worth your money. JP's cool people. It's really awesome. The next one is Echoes of Renaissance by Historica Arcanum. This is also, it's got 26 days to go, so it's fairly new. I really love Empires of the Silk Road, which is their first one that they did. They've sponsored me in the past. This is not sponsored. This is just me thinking it's really cool. So if you're interested in Historica Arcanum, they are a company out of Turkey that wanted to use the mythology and the history that they have in Turkey and kind of put a fantasy spin on it. And so that's where Empires of the Silk Road came from. Everything I've ever gotten from them has been amazing. The dice, the minis, the book quality, like the layout, it's all really fun. And I definitely think if you're want a different kind of setting adventure for D&D, this could be it for you. So, and with this, usually they have add-ons where you can get some of their earlier stuff. Like, yeah, here's the City of the Crescent and Empires of the Silk Road. That's what I have. And then the last one they did recently was, oh no, they did, I'm thinking Heir of the Crusades. That was the last big Kickstarter. But they also have the Nomadic Realms and Sigil of Jerusalem. So lots of really cool stuff. And you can get it in PDF as well. Fun stuff. So non-sponsored, but definitely think you should check it out. Kobold Press has a Enter the Labyrinth, which is 5e and Tove, Tales of the Valiant. So this has 10 days to go, and I think that this is kind of their Infinite Staircase or their Sigil, potentially. But it's lots of like realms and moving back and forth and getting lost, going to different places. I just think the art's really cool. I like the font of Labyrinth. I'm going to be honest, that like pulled me in. I just thought that was a really cool font they used for the title. And it looks cool. So I think this will, even after they're done backing it, this will be available in their store because that's how they operate. So it's not a one and done thing. But Kobold Press, you can for sure know that you're going to get your product because they've been working for quite a while and they've fulfilled on lots of Kickstarters. So that's Enter the Labyrinth. And then last of all, I have an affiliate link down below. It does sound like a metal name, yeah. Enter the Labyrinth. There's a bunch of book bundles. I kind of just... The link below will take you to like the book bundle page. So a lot of these aren't RPGs, but World of Darkness has 20 days left if you want to get a whole bunch of World of Darkness stuff. There is a Goodman Games 5e adventure bundle that has 5 days left. There is Bundle of the Dead by Pathfinder by Paizo that has 5 days left. There is a Power Rangers role-playing game and a Transformers deck building game. Lots of games that are here running around. So if you need more PDFs for your ever-growing PDF collection, check out Humble Bundle. So, and a lot of those are like World of Darkness. I think there is, yeah, you get some physical items when you pay $40. So it's pretty good. Like for $40, you get, physical items and then a bunch of PDFs. For the 5e D&D, you also get a physical item of Crypt of the Devil Lich and then a bunch of PDFs. And Bundle of the Dead is a physical item and a bunch of PDFs. So I'll be honest, I like the physical items, so that kind of gets me in there. I will totally do that. And Power Rangers is the same thing, so you could definitely spend a lot of money if you're interested in any of that. Could be fun. I have not been working on Modular D6. I think I needed a brain break, so it's still up there. I've been working... I last left off doing a bunch of layout stuff, kind of teaching myself layout. And then today I think I'm going to record some videos, and if I feel inspired, I might work on it a little bit with the layout. And then I need to just schedule some time with people that are interested in playtesting and actually run the game. Which means I also need to write like a quick adventure. That's another thing to go on. So I will be doing that at some point. But I've also been reading a book. So I've been reading this book called Tower of Babel, Senlin Ascends. And it's the Books of Babel. There are 4 books in it. And it's this giant... I don't know how... Like it reminded me of the Outlands and the giant spire at the middle of the Outlands in Planescape, in that our main character, Thomas Senlin, has studied this tower for a long time. It's a architectural marvel that no one understands where it really came from. Lots of different cultures have adapted it for use over the years, and he goes with his new bride to visit this architectural marvel on their honeymoon. And he overestimates the people there, and his wife just gets lost, and he's like, I don't know where she is. And he decides that he will meet her, that they discuss that they will meet at the bathhouse on like the 3rd level of the tower, which it just goes impossibly high. So I'm not terribly far into this book yet, but he's making his way up of this Tower of Babel to get to the baths to find his wife. And boy, if it isn't awesome. Like the descriptions, like the more I read this, I'm like, this is a whole campaign for like an RPG. I was like, this guy must play RPGs. It just feels very fantasy adjacent, I guess. It's kind of got like a steampunk vibe. I'm really curious where the story is going to go. So then I came to his Goodreads page, and it says here, before settling down to write fantasy novels, Josiah Bancroft was a poet, college instructor, and aspiring comic book artist. When he's not writing, he enjoys recording the Crit-Faced podcast with his other authorial friends, drawing the world of the tower and cooking dinner without a recipe. So then I look up Crit-Faced. He's in an actual play D&D game with other authors, and they play Dungeons & Dragons. And so now I have not listened to this yet, but it's on my radar, and I definitely want to check it out. So we'll see if I get into another actual play. But based on his creativity with this world, I would be very curious to see what kind of game they're playing and running in. So I'm not finished with this, and again, it's book 1 of 4, so we'll see if I keep reading after I get to the end of book 1, but I'm super enjoying it, and sometimes you need to read stuff to like reignite your curiosity and your imagination when you're running games and stuff. So Senlin Ascends, the Books of Babel. Pretty cool. And then last but not least, we're going to talk about my games that I'm currently running right now. So last week, boy, did I have the most epic Planegea game ever. This is one of those fun, unexpected circumstances that happened. So my players, a long backstory is that they are looking for these 4 divine ivory idols that were stolen by a bunch of drow that attacked their bear god. And so they're like, and the bear god went into a coma, and they're like, how do we save him? We got to go get these divine ivory statues. So they go to the Venom Abyss, they search around, they find them. A bunch of adventures have happened. They now have 3 of the 4, and they know that the 4th one is located towards the base of the volcano that is part of the Venom Abyss. So they go here, they find a cave, they walk through it, they fight some fire salamanders, and here's part 1 of the epicness is that I had this it was a flame axolotl that I got from Journey Through the Radiant Citadels, and I kind of ran a bit of that adventure for this one. And they wiped up the salamanders just fine, and then it's like, okay, you need to kill this thing in order to get the divine ivory statue out of it. Our monk goes in to do 5 attacks, I think, and he crits, nat 20 on the first one, and then he crits again, nat 20 on the second one, and then he crits, and he crits, and he crits. He got 5 natural 20s in a row, and we were all there. We watched it. It was amazing. So he single-handedly took the monster's hit points from like 120 to like 23 in just that first, like, his turn. Like, it was amazing. And we were just like, what is happening? And everyone was like, oh, Jordan, like, you worked so hard on this thing, and then we like beat it in like 5 seconds. And I was like, yeah, that's just kind of how it happens sometimes. Well, at that point, they felt invincible, and they were just like, we gotta go fight something else. And they knew that there were some red dragons like outside, so they decided to go and attack the red dragons. They're significantly more difficult than this fire axolotl that they did. So they run up, they start attacking, and within the first like 3 or 4 player turns, they were like, I think we messed up, guys. And they're like, how do we get out of this? And they're really trying to figure out how to get out. They don't know exactly what to do. But one of the divine ivory idols can cast the spell Gate, but only to nod. And in Planegea, Nod is kind of like the Feywild Shadowdark. They call it the world of dreams and the world of nightmares. And specifically, they're going to go to the world of nightmares. So in order to run away from this dragon, they open the gate, they all jump in, and the gate closes. And that's where we ended, where it's just like, what did you do? So I love that it was like their hubris and their actions that led to all of this. And now we get to have the finale of the game, which is going to probably be 2 or 3 more sessions of them figuring out how to get out of Nod and then return to the prime material plane, return to Planegea, and deliver the divine ivory statues back to their god. I was reading up on Nod. There's all these things of like making player characters, making their nightmares come to life in the world of Nod. So this is also fortunate because it's Halloween, and so we're going to play it next Saturday, which is like the week before Halloween, and we'll be able to have like a big spooky Halloween adventure, and I'm super excited. And I've been writing and plotting, and I don't know, this has been a lot of fun too. So I'm really excited about that. I can't believe that they decided to fight a dragon, but they did. It was amazing. And then lastly, I've got DCC tomorrow. So my DCC game has been on pause because I went to FanX and a bunch of other stuff happened. I had to fly out for work. But now I'm back. We're going to play tomorrow. We're very excited. And I got to tell you, if you guys have not tried it, early morning, like Sunday or Saturday D&D has been really awesome. So we started playing Sundays at 10 a.m. here at my house. And just the idea of like, nobody's drinking. We've all got our coffee. We're excited to be there. We're invested. And then when you finish, you still feel like you have your whole day. Like we play from 10 to 1, and then we're just like, yeah. And now I'm going to go do other stuff because it's like I have more things to do. So I really like that we're playing in the mornings. I like that it's weekly. DCC has been a lot of fun. And yeah, we're going to finish up the adventure that I'm running. And then I'm going to see if they want to keep playing and if we should run DCC 100, because I kind of want to run that. I think that could be a lot of fun. And then apart from DCC 100, we might switch over and play another game with one of the other players running something, because they're all dungeon masters. They like to run things. So it would be a lot of fun to play in something as well. Because right now I'm running 2 games and YouTube, and it's exhausting. So... But very excited, and I'm super excited for my Planegea game. That is our show. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. If you're new here, we do stream live on Saturday mornings at the Jocular Junction YouTube channel. So you can go over to youtube.com/c/Jocular Junction, and you should be able to find me. Or just search Jordan's Jocular Junction on Google, and you'll find me there. You can become a member of the YouTube channel if you want to support us, or you can go to Patreon and become a member there as well. I will admit I'm very bad at Patreon benefits, but you are supporting the channel and you get early access to all of my modular D6 changes and things like that. Let me know comments down below of any of the topics that we talked about. Next Saturday is the 19th, which will be the day that I run Planegea, so I'm excited about that. And yeah, it's October, it's spooky month. It's also my birthday month. Very excited for that because birthdays are fun and what have you. Thank you again so much for hanging out, everybody. I hope you are having the bestest of days, and I will hopefully have some DMG stuff to chat about next week. So until then, I'll see you all next episode.